All right, everybody, what is going on? I am going to go ahead and hop into a tier list right here. This is going to be a top 10 LRs in Dokkan as of part 2 of the worldwide celebration. Now, if you guys have been around the channel for a while, one, you know I don't really like doing tier lists. I do them pretty sparsely. Sometimes I'll just do it as a stream. Sometimes I'll just, it's just like I don't like tier lists are kind of whatever. So that's what we're going to be doing one anyway, though. I did want to go ahead and get my thoughts out on all of the units now that we have pretty much all the units that we're going to get. The only unit that Global is missing currently is Jiren on this list. Everybody else we have. Now, we are missing 2 of the hardest fights in the game right now, but I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, listen, I can't just wait forever to do a video. One other thing I want to mention before we actually get into the tier list here is I am doing a little Twitter thing that I'd like you guys to get involved with. So right here on my Twitter, so I made this tweet. I'll put a link to it probably in the comments where you guys can go do this. But I want to see you guys post some footage of Int Broly just so that I can see a lot more footage of him and where you guys are using him and the different situations people have got him in. So if you guys would please go reply to this tweet with your footage of Int Broly, I would love to see footage of him in a bunch of different situations. But anyway, let's go ahead and get back over to the tier list here and let's start ranking these units. So speaking of Int Broly, coming in at number 10, I think I am going to throw in Int Broly there. Now, people are going to look at that and they're going to be like, oh, Jordan, you're massively underrating him. Oh, he's way better than that, yada, yada, yada. And, maybe I am. But to me, this Int Broly just doesn't... How do I put this? He's good. Like, he is really good. And he fits really well on the Broly team. But to me, he just kind of feels like a nice character to help you round out the team. He doesn't really feel like he's carrying the team and doing anything like super duper special. I think he is providing a much needed role to all of these villain teams, but I don't think he's just like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, his damage isn't all that crazy. His defense is solid, but it's not like, oh my goodness, he's tanking everything for double digits, right? Like, it's good, and he can tank a lot of things, especially whenever his domain is up. But it's not like the craziest ever. His revive is awesome. I love that he has revive. The revive is like, one of the best mechanics that you can have. But he's just like not, I don't know. I like him a lot, but can I say that I like him more than the units above him? No, I think the units above him are just doing things that are just more impressive. For example, coming in at number 9 is going to be AGL Jiren. Now, again, I haven't actually used this unit myself, so it is a little bit difficult to rank Jiren. But Jiren right here is a very special character in that it's really easy to get into his standby. And then once he's in his standby, it's very easy to get 100% damage reduction for several turns. And just having a character like that can just sit there, support your team, not take any damage is going to be really, really special and a really big help to a lot of these teams. He also leads both of these characters, actually, pretty much everyone on this team everyone on this list except for Cell Max, who's obviously going to be on the list, by the way. Everyone on this list leads a pretty good team. Even like the 7th anniversary EZAs, 6th anniversary EZAs, even they lead like pretty decent leader skills, all things considered. So this is what we're looking at for 10 and 9, which should tell you like how stacked this list is. It actually got really hard for me to rank pretty much everything after this. It was very hard, and I would, listen to arguments for pretty much everything. You guys know that normally the way I like to do these tier lists is kind of like, I really care about like maybe the top 4, and then after that I don't really care. This was like the first tier list where I actually had to put thought into characters after like the first 3, right? Like I was like, oh man, like where am I going to put Int Broly? Where is he going to go on the list? Because I feel like in any other year I could have seen this guy as high as 5, but the characters that are above Int Broly this year are just so crazy that I really couldn't get him any higher than 10. I think Jiren's just overall utility in his standby is going to be way better. And then, after he transforms, he's just an absolute behemoth. So I like Int Broly. I love his design. I think they did really well with him. I just think that our units better. In any other year, this design right here is like the best unit in the game. The issue is that 2024, the LRs have just been designed immaculately. So Now, this is probably going to be a bit of a controversial take right here. The next unit coming up at number 8 is going to be Cell Max. So, Cell Max, I'm a little bit down on compared to a lot of other people. The main thing for me, it's a couple of things. So, one, I really don't like that he has to get hit to build up. I have been in situations where Cell Max needs to get hits in, and he just gets obliterated by a super attack or something like that. I have also found it not very consistent, to have his active skill when you need it, especially on the Broly team. The Broly team especially is kind of a bit of a tough run for Cell Max because you want to use him as a floater, and you would think, oh, you just float him a couple times and he comes back and, you get the active skill. And I don't know. I just haven't found his active skill as free and easy to get maybe as other units. I don't think his defense is as good as people like to think it is. While his intro up, it is pretty good on his second turn if he got a bunch of hits on his first turn. I've just had situations where Cell Max takes a lot of damage. The other thing, too, is that Cell Max, for me, I get really bad RNG with, and so people are like, oh, but look at the damage, and I'm like, in my mind, I think of Cell Max just doing 100 normals every single turn, so obviously that's going to take points off for me with Cell Max. Points off as well for not being a good leader. He is a yellow coin LR, so he only has like the 150% leader. And there was like some shenanigans we could do for a little bit whenever he first dropped. It was like, oh yeah, you can just run Cell Max as a leader and you're going to be fine, right? But it just doesn't work out like that. He's also on the Super Bosses team. That's where he's going to be at his best. And Super Bosses, despite getting a ton of buffs this year, is just not in a good spot anymore. It had a really decent window on JP where it was like okay for a little bit, and then it would just like crumble to immediately as soon as we got like harder fights that were a little bit longer. The Super Bosses team really prides itself on being able to blitz these fights really quickly, but whenever only a few units are actually doing damage on the team, it's a lot harder. Now, you have kind of the reverse issue with not the reverse issue, but kind of like a flip-flopped issue with the Broly team. Cell Max works really well on the Broly team. He fits in well with these guys. He's got the Berserker link, and it just works really well. He's a mainstay on this Movie Bosses team. My issue with Cell Max is like we actually how do I like I can never really get him built up. So again, because I'm like running double Broly rotations, he just becomes a floater, and then at that point he's just kind of a liability, right? Like if we accidentally eat a slot 3 super attack, or he just gets caught somehow, like if he gets locked in slot 1 after not being able to get built up, that can be like a real liability. So I don't like that his intro is only 3 turns. 3 turns, so 2 rotations. Well, actually 1 rotation if you don't float him. If you float him, he doesn't get his intro anymore. So I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think his defense is quite where it could be. I don't like his leader skill. I do consider that as one of the main factors whenever I rank units. Other people don't really care about leader skill at all, but I think leader skill does matter because if they have like a really good team that they lead, I think that does improve the value of the unit. And whenever I always think about, like, if I was a random free-to-play player who had just joined the game, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go click on Jordan's video where it's like, okay, what are the top units in the game? Because these are the units that those players are going to prioritize. It's like, oh, okay, so I should save my coins for this unit. Oh, I should try to build this team, right? That's, like, what I want them to think of. And, like, Cell Max is a great addition to this Movie Bosses team. Which is good, but he's not going to be a good leader, right? So I do think there are points off for that in some respect. I mean, obviously, he's still a really good unit, as you can see, because he's number 8 on this list. I mean, he beats out 2 units with better leader skills than him, but it's just one of those things where I do deduct some points off of him because of that. So the next 3 I'm going to put up all at once because I would consider them very, very interchangeable, and that's going to be the Universe 7 units right here. Now, don't take this ranking as like super serious. Again, I think you could switch these 3 out in any order that you wanted to, just depending on the fight and, just what's going on. So, again, I'm putting Vegeta up front because I am very Vegeta biased. This has been like one of my favorite characters in the game. Ever since he went Evolution Blue Vegeta in the anime, I've been waiting for this unit to come into Dokkan, and, I rainbowed him on his release banner. I've just always been a big fan of this unit. So this is just my bias, me putting him at 5. Again, I think you could swap out these 3 in any order, and that would be fair. If there weren't, if the Goku and Frieza fight didn't have a dodge canceling phase, I would probably have AGL UI as number 5, for sure. But because there is a dodge canceling phase, I do have to put AGL UI at, slightly below him for this list. Tech UI is really good. I just find him a little bit less reliable than these 2. Fantastic unit. I love using him. But, in his base form, he is a little bit weak. Once he transforms, he is pretty solid, though. So I like what he does. I think his domain is very powerful. I like his team again. I think all three of these units, these two don't have the best leader skills anymore, but they are solid. Both of these units do lead Reps Universe 7, which is like a legitimate team at the moment. And then Vegeta having like powerful comeback too. Like you can make their teams work. Goku has Miraculous Awakening. Like if you needed to run these guys as leaders, you absolutely could. So again, I think these three are interchangeable. Fantastic units. I do like them better than Cell Max. I know, again, that's probably a little bit of a controversial take. I know most people would probably have Cell Max maybe up here at the 5 slot or maybe even the 4 slot, and they'd have these guys shifted down. But, just for me, I like what they're doing better. I find them more consistent. I think they're on better teams. I think they're on, they absolutely are on more teams. They're less restrictive. I find them very easy to use. You throw Vegeta, he's on like 100 category teams. So as we get new leaders in the game, as we get new units in the game, as the meta shifts, it's always going to be like, oh, this Vegeta is still a very solid unit. We can throw him on this team and he's going to provide us value. Same thing with UI Goku, both of them. It's like you look at the category list. And, they don't like to just buff, movie bosses is like here during the worldwide celebration. And that's where Cell Max is good, is right now. In 3 months, whenever they drop the, I don't know, like a new Beerus that leads Realm of Gods, right? These guys are going to be on that team. And then in another like 3 months, whenever they drop, I don't know, like Power Beyond Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, right? Like Evolution Blue Vegeta is going to be on the team. And then whenever they release like Miraculous Awakening Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, this guy is going to be on the team, right? Like these guys are going to be on like every team that releases from here on out because they are just so versatile, and they're on so many teams, and they have just great link sets. They're awesome. I love them. AGL UI is going to actually be really hard to age out. The only way they can age this guy out is if they cancel dodge. Like that's like legitimately the only way to get this guy out of here, because he is just so busted. So definitely I like these three more. I find their consistency, their ease of use across a bunch of different teams, their general projection as the meta goes on. I just think these units are better, and I do find their damage a lot more consistent than Cell Max as well. Again, Cell Max feels very prone to just getting a bunch of normals for me, whereas I feel like these guys are just, especially these two, are just popping off like triple super, triple crits constantly. Getting the guaranteed crits at 24 key is really big for them. They get that big attack buff as well. I just end up liking these units a lot more. Maybe once the Goku and Frieza fight comes out on Global, I'll shift my opinion up on them a little bit. We'll see. I am very curious to see how these guys do in that Goku and Frieza fight. Maybe then I'll end up liking Cell Max more. We'll see. That's definitely a possibility. Again, until I can get all the information in my hands, I can't really judge this 100% accurately, which is why I was trying to wait a long time to do another tier list. Guys, I haven't made one since at least like an LR tier list. I don't know that I've made one since, I don't know. Maybe it was last Worldwide Celebration, possibly. It's been a long time. I have like done videos grading other people's tier lists, specifically Truths. I've done videos on those, but never quite on my own like this. So, not in a long time. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on what I have here so far. Again, I know people probably think Broly's too far down, but is Broly better than AGL UI? I can't say with confidence that he is. I would just say AGL UI Goku's better in, 9 out of 10 situations. So I don't know. I can't. Jiren is great. I don't know that I'd put him above Cell Max, because I do still like Cell Max is good. Part of it is just I have bad luck. So, but he fits really well on the movie bosses team. It's been working, but you can get caught. I don't know. I just like this ordering. Okay, so the top 4 was actually kind of tough in the order that I wanted to do them in. Number 4, we're gonna have Broly. I really like this Tech Broly. I love running his team. I think his design is very, very, very good. My only hang up with this Tech Broly is that it does seem like potentially you could get caught if you're, if you just don't go through a fight fast enough, potentially. That's kind of what I've seen from other people's footage of like the Goku and Frieza fight and, the new Bulma fight, stuff like that. But this guy is really, really powerful, being basically invincible on his first turn, while also providing a bunch of support, is super good, super valuable. And then after that, he turns into just a slot 1 monster for another 2 rotations. He gets his active skill. even after you lose his intro, he's still pretty solid in slot 1 against most bosses. Like, it's a very consistent experience. And because he is a really good leader, it makes the movie bosses team run really well, right? Like, just having, anytime your leader unit on a team is a very good slot 1 unit, it provides you so much value. And that's what you're going to notice about these other top 3 units right here, is that they're all very consistent slot 1 units. You know, that's also what's going on here, right? Like, as you kind of go down this list, you become less and less consistent in slot 1. Broly, it can be in slot 1, you know, for sure, but you only really get a couple rotations out of it while his domain is up. And then after that, you do have the revive, but you know, he's not really like super slot 1. Like, if you're looking at who's the most valuable unit on the movie bosses team, I think it's by far Tech Broly. Number 2 is probably Cell Max, and then it's probably Int Broly. I think, again, Int Broly provides like a really valuable asset to that team with the domain just being instant. I think the attack, or not the attack, but the domain being instant, and then the revive. The revive later on after the domain goes away, I think is a much needed team to villains. And they made it a good revive too. So it's not just him like that has to revive, you know, because they've been doing that. Like, I think most of the villain revives that we have are like that character has to be KO'd. Broly's KO, or Broly's revive, can activate whenever any character on the rotation is KO'd, which is just really, really good. But I would still say Tech Broly being able to lock down slot 1, being able to provide that support to the other units on the rotation is just way better. And then he also does more damage. This guy is way more damaging than this guy down here. So I do consider that as well. This guy is absolutely crazy with the damage. He's probably closer to like Cell Max, but this guy's a better tank than Cell Max. So again, I think Tech Broly is insane. If you got him, like, he is the key to running movie bosses right now. Like, if you know, the villain hotness right now runs through this guy. You either have this guy or you don't. So that's kind of like, I really like this Broly. I think he's really good. It was tough. I was trying to decide if I would put him above these 3 or not, because the thing is, like, I can't really break these 3 up. The reason I decided to put this guy above them is because I was like, okay, do I like this guy better or this guy better? And I was like, you know what? In most situations, I think I do like Broly more than Vegeta, because I think this guy's going to be much more consistent in slot 1. Vegeta can work in slot 1 for sure, but if he's getting instantly super attacked, it's not going to be good. And there are a lot of bosses right now that just super you instantly in slot 1. And Vegeta just can't really quite handle that if his guard isn't up. And he only has guard for, you know, potentially two turns. One at the start of the fight and then one later on after you revive. But I don't know. I think I found Broly a much more consistent unit, at least in the content that we have right now on Global and from what I've seen in other people's footage. So, all right, the last 3 is really hard. Obviously, it's these guys, this guy, and Beast. Now, I'm going to keep them all like right here for now, and we're going to talk this through because this is tough. I think there is a good argument to be made for any one of these 3 to be number 1. But I think there are 2 units that really stand out from like this bunch. And so let's go ahead and narrow it down a little bit. We're going to talk about the trio next. I think they come in at 3. The trio unit is awesome, man. If you guys have been paying attention to this celebration, pretty much all of the content that or like all the videos that I've put up during this celebration have run through the trios team. I absolutely love running their team. It is so much fun. Like the standby is really easy to get. It's just free and easy. I love them. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy that I have them at 3 because they are so good and so much fun. You know, during part 1, it was like, you know, are they better than Beast? You know, that was the big argument. It's like, are they better than Beast, you know? And the fact that we got an even better unit in part 2 that's competing with Beast is even crazier. So just talking about the trio, obviously we all know that their support is crazy. What it does for other older units and just, you know, really helps out all players, right? Like if you got them, it's like, oh man, you know, you're a little bit restricted on team building. You know, that is true. You got to make sure that you got the all-out struggle or the movie hero category allies with you. But like what their unit doing for like Orange Piccolo and Bulma and even like the Super Saiyan Duo, we were using the AGL Super Saiyan Duo from the Worldwide Celebration 2 years ago. That's how powerful this unit is they're able to resurrect units that are just completely irrelevant, you know? So I love this unit. I find them very easy to use. The only issue is that I have had situations where these guys take damage. The 2 units above them, they don't take damage. Even like the unit below them, like Broly doesn't really take damage like they do either. Occasionally, you can get into a situation where maybe you get caught a little bit. Like if you accidentally don't get their 18 key super attack, maybe you get a little bit of trouble with the orbs and you're not able to get them up to 24 key to get their full multiplicative buff. You know, after they come out of their standby, if you don't KO the enemy, then they're going to have lost that stack up that you had before they went into their standby. So that could leave them exposed potentially, because generally they're going to be your slot 1 unit. So mostly it's just type disadvantage that you have to worry about. Like I'd say Cell Max is probably the boss that I've seen bully them the most. But overall, they are still a very, very solid, very powerful unit. If you were going to summon for any unit from this celebration, like if you're a free-to-play player and you're like, all right, who should I throw the most stones at no matter what, I would say this trio right here is who you would want to walk away from. Like, let's say somehow you got 2,500 stones for this anniversary and you got enough like coins to do the pity. I would say that this unit is the one that you would want to pick out of the 4. I don't necessarily think they're the best in this celebration. I mean, obviously Gohan's above them, but I think in terms of value that they provide to your account, I think by far they provide the most value to your account, especially as like, you know, new players, free-to-play players, stuff like that. This unit is going to be the one that provides you like the most just absolute insanity. They're going to help out other characters on your team, and they just run like a really fun, very powerful, very easy to use team. So that's what I have to say about the trio. Again, very awesome unit. I love this unit. I think they did really awesome designing these units as Celebration. I know you guys are like, oh, we got boom, 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 these guys up here, and then we've got, Int Broly down here. Like, what do you mean he's well designed? Like, no, like this guy is still really, really good. I just like, man, is this top 10 stacked, I could see this guy, I don't know, as high as, I don't know. I'll do another tier list here in a second where I'll kind of group these guys up at the end, and we'll talk about that ranking, but for now, before we go into the top 2, I do want to do some honorable mentions here, so I'm going to throw in like Broly and Gogeta and maybe Bulma. This guy, this isn't ordered. I'm just pulling out some honorable mentions here, and maybe like Turles and these guys. Yeah, okay, so this is our honorable mentions right here. I think these guys, are all very solid units. I think they are slightly kicked out of the top 10 now. This AGL Broly, again, works really well on this guy's team, and he synergizes really well with this Broly. This Broly gets his... He gets his active skill and his domain on turn 1. By the time it runs out, you can get AGL Broly's domain, which, helps out AGL Broly, right? Because you can have just like extra stats while he's in his weakest phase. I think it really works well. So this AGL Broly definitely could have been top 10 for sure. This guy's still a really powerful damage dealer, still a great unit on the movie boss's team. Blue Gogeta, again, still the best Rainbow Orb Changer in the game. Absolute phenomenal unit that you should run on any team you can. The only thing that keeps him out of the top 10 is his base form is a little bit weak. If he just had like 50% dodge in his base form, I might have him in at like 10 still over, Int Broly. Fantastic unit, fantastic Rainbow Orb Changer. Bulma has seen a little bit of a resurgence because of this unit. As you guys know, I've been running her in like all the difficult content, and for the most part, she's been fine. She can take damage from super attacks, but overall, I've been very happy with Bulma's performance on their team. Again, that's just the power of their support, bringing back units that are just far past their prime at this point, but the extra stats really help them survive in the constant or in the current meta. This Tech Broly right here, he's fine. He's just like, okay. He can't really, he's not going to eat AoEs. He's not going to eat super attacks, but he's just good enough. In his base form, he's very weak. He's very good offensively, but defensively, he can definitely take damage while he's in his base form. After he transforms, he's solid enough. I think they made him just good enough to be good on this Broly team for now. He'll probably be one of the first units that gets pushed off the current Broly movie bosses team, but for now, he is a very good unit to run. I think he's great, and he does do a ton of damage. He is like a true instance of definitely you can KO the boss before they KO you. I like Turles a lot. I think Turles is a very good unit, again, on the movie bosses team. Very powerful, very consistent, very good. Supports, which is really great. The only thing that I don't like is that he does kind of clash with this guy's domain a little bit. It's not too bad. I haven't really found it a major issue, but you know, I wouldn't say he's like, if you're looking at this gauntlet of 10, I would not say that he is on the level of them. He's just a nice little floater, a nice little addition to the team that's pretty safe to run. And then the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta unit. Again, we know how crazy this unit is. They also do just a ton of damage. They create rainbow orbs, very easy to use, very free unit. They work great as a floater. Awesome. Very happy with this unit. So this would probably be my honorable mentions. These two are okay. I find them both a bit too niche, though. This unit I just put on here for memes. Same thing with these two. And then STRUI should be up here with these guys, but he just never dodges for anyone. So that's where he's at. So let's talk about the top two, because this is very, very difficult for me to actually pick here. I think I do want to pick Gohan. Well, obviously. This is tough, right? Let's kind of talk about pros and cons. So Beast, for sure, if we're talking about leader skill, Beast has the better leader skill by far. We're talking team protector mechanic. I think Beast also has the better team protector mechanic. Damage. Gohan has Beast beat in damage. I will say that. In raw actual defense, I think this Gohan wins as well. Gohan, you know, it's never going to be an issue for this guy to tank anything. You know, worst case scenario, you fall below the HP threshold to activate his dodge, and then you start dodging. I have not found a fight that can really challenge this guy, and it's so easy to get into his standby. You can just go into his standby on turn 3, and after that, he's actually invincible while you're in the standby. So I would say that this guy is providing you a ton of value, and then, of course, the standby is basically just like a one-shot KO move against some of these bosses. So I would probably put Gohan above Beast just because of that. I would say his defense and damage right now are just more than these bosses can handle. Beast is really good, but you do kind of have a situation sometimes where you can go a little bit too slow. Beast himself is not doing a ton of damage. He can do a little bit. You know, he's definitely not a weak character, but, you know, a lot of the time you're going to see maybe like 13, 14, 15 million attack stats out of this guy, and he does double super, which is solid, but you know, whenever you have this guy who can do like a triple 20 million, and you have like these guys who can do like triple 20 millions, and this guy who can do like triple 30 millions, and these guys who can do like, you know, triple 20 to 25 millions with guaranteed crits, right? Like Beast is definitely, if you're looking at even just like this top, yeah, pretty much the entire rest of the top 10 here, Beast is probably the weakest hitting unit of the top 10 here, probably. Maybe. I don't know. Like, I know he's doing crits pretty easily, but still, I think it's like pretty much everybody on this list is doing crits, right? So, Beast is great. I think his leader skill is better. His active skill, team protector ability is still just unmatched. It's very good. But I don't know. I think I just like Teen Gohan better right now. So this could definitely change up. Beast is going to be one of these characters that I have trouble moving out of like the top 2 slots. Because like even now you guys could convince me to put him in at 1. So if I was going to do like a grouped tier list. So let me recap first, right? So we got Teen Gohan, Beast Gohan, the trio, Broly, the part 1 Broly, the Universe 7 Universe 7 and 6th anniversary, goodness, LRs, and then like this unit right here. So this little trio of Reps Universe 7, they're all, we got them, and then we got Cell Max, Jiren, and Broly. So if I were to do a kind of grouped tier list, The way I like to do these groupings is I only put them in a tier together if I could see them at the top of that tier. So like, for example, I would not put these four in a tier together because there is no way that I can see Broly at 1 over like this unit or this unit right here. So that means that immediately he would have to be demoted to the next tier. Same thing with the trio. I don't really think that there's a scenario where I can see these guys at 1. I think these two units are just clearly better. But I could see Broly over the trio, so that means that they kind of go into their own tier like this. Next up, I think I'm going to put the Universe 7 units. Because, like, can I see Vegeta over Broly? Maybe, but I can't see him over the trio. And then these three, I think, are just interchangeable. So I would probably put them in their own tier like this. Cell Max, I would probably keep right here. And I'd probably put him in the same tier as Jiren. And then I'd probably do Broly like that. So if we were going to go off of a tier list like this, this is probably what I would do. You could probably get me to do this. I think I'd feel comfortable doing this as well. Potentially even... No, I think I'd leave it like this. Yeah. So this is what I would do if I was doing like a grouped tier list. This is how I would do it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know where you would rank these units. Let me know if you guys think I did this preemptively. Let me know if you think I'm underrating anyone. I know I don't really explain my thoughts super well, but that's why you guys are in the comments, right? And we can go in there and talk about it a little bit. So thank you all for watching. I know I'm a bit of a yapper, 30 minutes here, but let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.